Welcome everybody to episode 2 of USUK Chronicles. This is the Chronicles of Evan Gregory, of the Gregory Brothers. This is a fantastic interview. We had so much fun recording this with Evan. Just check it out. It's a brilliant watch, and especially look out for the way my face lights up like a giddy, excited child as soon as he tinkers on the piano. Anyway, everybody enjoy our interview from the Chronicles of Evan Gregory.
What's the situation?
We're good. Thank you very much for doing this.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad to know you're a fan.
Yeah, it's I've been for a while.
Yeah.
But we'll delve into that, don't you worry. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Are you time restricted or are you okay?
I have till I got 3:45 my time, so
What's that, 45
how are you
minutes?
ahead of me? 5 hours ahead of me?
Yeah.
8 for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully that's enough time. What do you guys want to talk about? Or you can tell me once.
Well, we've just got a bunch of questions.
Maybe, should I do a recording of myself? Are you guys splicing together audio after the fact?
I just record the Zoom. It works perfectly fine.
Yeah, we
Okay,
do
great.
all the audio, then edit it in and all that sort of crap. So
Great.
You can tell which one does the editing out of two of us, can't you? Wonderful. What we normally do is I normally just do a little intro and then we just ask you a bunch of questions. It's pretty much as simple as that, really.
It couldn't be simpler. I love it.
Couldn't be simpler. We're British. We like things simple. Sorted.
Yeah. No games, no trivia.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, what a guest we have with us this week. A bona fide internet and viral sensation, and also one hell of a talented guy with one hell of a sense of humour. I've lost track the amount of times I've sang this man's songs with my friends, including on this very show, where me and my co-host can quite often be heard singing, "Oh my goodness, oh my damn." He's a winner of 2012 Comedy Award for Best Viral Song. He's a viral video sensation. He's one of the most popular brothers in music, if you judge it by YouTube hits. Not one of the Jonas Brothers. He is Evan of the Gregory Brothers.
hey.
Thank you for having me. That's such a flattering introduction. I don't even know where to begin, but it's so nice to meet you guys and be on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, Evan, how has lockdown treated you, fella?
Oh gosh, thanks for asking, man. Fairly lucky. Early on we kind of made the call that I was the one brother that was going to be allowed to come to our studio. We took it really seriously and didn't even see each other for several months. And I'm the only one with kids, so I had to be able to come here just to get away from them. Otherwise I'd never be able to get any work done. My other brothers could, work from home like people do in the Zoom era. So there's 3 or 4 months or so where I was here solo fiddling around with all the video and keyboards and so on and so forth. Now everybody's rebubbling. We're coming back together, which is great because a big part of our audience expects a lot from us with regards to the political season, which in the U.S. is really accelerating. So now's the right time for us to be back together. We really need to step up to the plate the next couple of months.
I'm sure you're going to smash it out the park as always.
But thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that confidence.
Not at all, man. Not at all. So, other than being in the studio with the lockdown, did you teach yourself anything new? Did you learn anything at all, like Spanish or something?
I did get on the Duolingo train. I was trying to learn Italian. I live in a part of Brooklyn that is very Italian, and a lot of my neighbors are their first language is Italian, and so my daughter was picking up a little bit of it at school and stuff like that, and so I was trying to be really enthusiastic about it, but I'm down on it right now because I'll never be immersed in it. So I'm just feeling the bleakness of how I'll never be fluent in it and very down on myself. But no, I did not take the lockdown to get a set of a ripped 8-pack or anything like that.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Are you guys majorly ripped and you're hiding your abs from me on the Zoom call?
Yep.
Oh, totally. That's totally what it is.
No, not at all.
No, seriously, man, it's such a childcare crisis for us. And it's like any amount of time that you would have to like pursuing your own hobbies or whatever, you need to dedicate to parenting because nobody's in school and nobody can go do activities outside of the house. So as much as I dearly love my 3 kids who are quite young, 5, 3, and 3, it's a lot of maintenance. So the lockdown for me has just been I'm either in the studio or I'm parenting. It's just those 2 things, period.
Nice.
Well, good, man.
So when we first started emailing to arrange this, you said you were going to be busy all fall and whatnot. Is this doing stuff to catch up on what was missed during the lockdown, or was this always planned for this time of year?
Yeah, well, we've been known since we kind of first made it. Our first video that ever sort of broke virally was political in nature. We had this video called Auto-Tune the News #2 that was based on creating songs out of current events. So even as we've broadened beyond that over the years and we make songs based on viral videos, we have original music. One of our biggest hits in the last couple of years is this thing called Chicken Attack that has nothing to do with the news. However, there's been this group of people that have followed us for 10 years that expect political material from us, and we like to engage in it. It's fun for us because it gives you a premise upon which to make jokes and make fun music. So in the U.S., we're coming up in the presidential election cycle, so there's no year that's more political than a presidential election year. So people expect a lot from us, and we want to deliver. Some of our biggest videos have been when we took a presidential debate. We watched the debate. It's like one of the biggest political events of the year. We stay up all night grabbing pieces from the debate, analyzing it, thinking of how can we both summarize this thing and make jokes about it that have a point of view. And the next day we'll come out with a video. So we're absolutely going to do that again for every presidential debate. There's 4 of them if you include the vice presidential debate. And so they're like, those are big events on our calendar that we need to step up for. And you have to practice like, you're going to run the marathon. You don't go run a marathon cold, nor do you try to stay up all night remixing debates into songs without practice and physical conditioning. You got to be in tip-top shape just to stay up all night. And of course, just to stay up all night, you need to gorge yourself on coffee and pizza. So I got to practice doing that too. So you don't want it to be your first time when it comes to debate night. But anyway, we've already gotten into it this summer. We've already produced 2 or 3 songs that are political in nature that have done really well for us. And I have to say I'm proud of how they came out musically. One of them is called The Ramp. And that one really popped off for us. And it captures the point of view of our president, but also it slaps musically. And we have 2 others that we did more recently that were based on the 2 parties' political conventions. So we're already in this cycle. We're churning it out and only going to accelerate from here.
Did I don't suppose he ever listens to it, but did Trump get funny about that or not?
A, number one, he's president, but B, he doesn't follow anybody on Twitter. He only has followers, by virtue of being the president and the loudmouth. He has nearly 100 million followers, but he doesn't follow anybody. So you can't assume that he's going to consume anything out there. We do know that Joe Biden has seen a couple of our videos over the years because, of course, he was vice president during the time in which we were first coming up. Yeah. And so we would interact with pieces of media featuring him. But also, I'll say that it's not just that he was the vice president, but also, and I can say this from the point of view of an expert, as someone with empirical evidence, that Joe Biden is probably the best unintentional singer we've ever had as a public office holder. Joe Biden is unequivocally the Beyonce of unintentional singing. His voice is mellifluous. He's also, he's passionate. He's lyrical. So you think about what are those elements you want to see in a great pop singer? Well, it's someone who can express emotion through their voice. But also physically, Joe Biden is always talking like this. And the use of his vocal instrument is already so close to that way that a singer is using their body that the journey we have to take him on is very short. So not only do my personal politics more, closely align with Joe Biden's, but also we have this very vested interest in getting the best possible accidental singer in the presidency.
That's absolutely amazing.
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
So take us back. How did this all start? Where did this idea come from to start with this?
Well, in terms of our story, how did we end up on YouTube, and how did we end up where we are now? I guess if you rewound a couple of years before we really broke on YouTube, we were just a very conventional band, just trying to do original music because the pre-digital era of how people found our artistic careers, we were trying to go about it in the very traditional way. And in fact, we were all pursuing different avenues, and the Gregory Brothers playing together was just sort of like a side project because we all happened to be available to one another. Oh, let's also play together. We get along. And we had this kind of Americana band, sort of like folk and soul put together. And we were totally decent, but nothing to speak about. But of course, we always spent all of our time joking around together and trying all sorts of different projects. And I think the germ of it really came from Michael, who hadn't, his degree is in music engineering, like the production side of it. I have a degree in like music theory and history and so on and so forth. So Michael was working with singers all day just as a contractor in the booth, and was always, if you think about that time, which was 2008, say, well, what was the like hot sound of the time? It was like the T-Pain and T-Pain the pioneer, but also Akon and Jamie Foxx or whatever all had hits with this like signature robotic autotune sound that was like the new thing. So Michael was applying that to all these different singers that are like, make me sound like T-Pain, make me sound like Akon. And so then it was like this little leap for him, having done that all day long professionally, to come home and say like, how far could we push this? Like, what if you applied this to the sound of a spoken voice? What kind of results could we achieve? So it really was first trying to answer that question, and then us like applying our interests to politics and current events and wanting to be funny with it, not just the like answering the technical question of what about the novelty of applying this software in places it's not meant to be used, but then bringing in these other elements. Oh, we're going to use this as a songwriting tool. We're going to use the craft of songwriting to try to turn these into melodies and recognizable songs, hooks and choruses and verses, so on and so forth. And so it just so happened that it was 2008 and there was a election that year, and we were like, oh, this is a thing that people are talking about, the presidential race, and here are these events that take place that basically have long periods of recorded spoken voice, people talking and debating. So we could try to apply this trade on it, and we did. So you can go find these old videos that we made. Some of the earliest videos on our channel are of the sort of initial stab at what we would now call songification. We first tried it out, and then we kept at it because we thought there was really something there. And it was maybe 6 months later in 2009 we had this first big break. This thing called, when we called it Auto-Tune the News by that point, we had sort of hit on that name. And so that was our first video that got like 1 million views. And that's a very strong clue that even though you couldn't make money on YouTube at the time, it was like, well, we should be investing in this. So very slowly we started to leave our other jobs. Everything had just been a side project up to that point. And we just kept investing in it, putting more effort into it and getting better at it. And it was the following summer in 2010 that we had 2 back-to-back really big hits that were not news-based in nature, but just in the world of viral videos. And those were the Double Rainbow song and the Bed Intruder song. So that was the summer of 2010. And both of those were massive hits on YouTube terms. And that was sort of like the final step for us converting from being like a wannabe band to just YouTubers and musicians that lived on YouTube and in the world of viral videos.
Yeah, because that Bed Intruder song was on one of the British shows called Rude Tube over here. I remember that. #1, yeah. And that's how I discovered you guys. So what made you think that Antoine Dodson was like, what made you think that video would be a great song? Like, how do you decide what videos or news stories you're going to cover would make good songs?
Well, it's 2 things. We were still finding our footing then, so we weren't in the position we are now where we're sort of we're one of the biggest players in this niche of remix culture. We'll say, but we certainly were not at the time. We were growing and figuring it out. So there's two things that it would boil down to in terms of why would we want to try to remix or songify this one video. Number one is, what does it sound like? Is it going to get a good result? There's a million videos out there that might be interesting because of what somebody's saying, but they sound terrible. So the musical result is going to be a non-starter. And in this case, the sound of it was definitely going to work. And of course, the results speak for themselves. But number two, what is the content and what is the public attention on this thing? And it is impossible to overstate basically how big the original phenomenon was. There was, in our minds, no chance that we were just going to contribute this one little thing. And in fact, it was almost like an exercise that we wanted to try, and lo and behold, the song we produced ended up being bigger than the original thing. But you can't overstate how big the original thing was. But this was pre having your homepage customized for you, and so nowadays you'd log into YouTube and everything is sort of suggested for you based on your browsing history and your preferences. Back then the homepage was basically universal. It might have been different per country, but I'm not sure. And that original interview was so popular and interesting and funny to people, or just unusual to people, that a billion trolls and pirates and so on and so forth had ripped it and uploaded it because they saw it was getting attention. So you could log into YouTube and the homepage was 20 different copies of this same video. It was, far and away the most popular and important video on YouTube that day. And so our thing came out fairly quickly, but because of our experience doing the Double Rainbow song, like maybe a month prior, which was a hit on our largest scale to date at that time. Now it was not as big as the Bed and Truth song was yet to become, but because of our experience doing that, we were like, we don't want to try to exploit this monetarily or co-opt Antoine's voice without his participation in it. And that's a little bit different than the approach that many people take to quote unquote remix culture, which is just basically, oh, if a piece of media exists out in the world, we can touch it and do whatever we want with it. Yeah. And we do take that approach with public figures in current events and news. We don't go out seeking the approval or license from public figures or politicians, but we did try to reach out and get a hold of Antoine Dodson, and he was in a very tough position where he had delivered this interview to local news to try to get a law enforcement result. He was basically like waving a flag, like trying to yell and get the attention of police, like, please come help us with this case. And the result of being vocal on the news then resulted in this viral phenomenon. Anyway, I'll spare you the details. We did end up getting in touch. We made a business relationship. We decided to sell the song as a single. Before streaming services really took off, so this is all just like iTunes basically. There's no physical copies of the song at that time, and it became a big hit. And we just did like a handshake deal with Antoine that we would just distribute it to iTunes and just split right down the middle. So any receipts that the song made, we just went splitsies on, and we've been in touch ever since. We still have a relationship with him and talk to him about whatever is going on in his life, and he's like well moved on, but it'll just always be a part of his life that he'll get requests to come he'll come appear in some commercial or do a personal appearance because he's the guy that was in the thing all those years ago.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
I did not expect that answer from that. That is incredible. Are there any particular videos that you've released that you're extra proud of, whether it be for how much work you guys put into it, or just because of the reaction it had, or anything like that?
Oh man, thanks for asking. That's such a wonderful, sweet softball. Just tell us about your greatest achievement. So generous. Oh man, I don't know. It's every video we make is like it's like one of our babies. I'll say a couple of things come to mind. One is like what we're about to do is that the debate stuff that we basically pledge to our fans. This is what we're going to do. So you can expect this like great thing to come out the day after this public event. And it'll be like catchy and funny and encapsulate this event. It's a ton of work to pull it off, and it's really taxing. But so we did it in 2016 to great effect, and we've had a good track record of doing it. So we've generated all this goodwill. So that means that this year we're gonna have like celebrity guest hosts come in and be like guest starring in the videos and stuff like that because we've built up this track record. So it's a ton of work, but I'm also really proud of it, and that's something that like your fans or my fans could go out and watch right now, what we've done in past years, but also something to anticipate that's coming up, quite soon at the end of this month, through beginning of November. There's just gonna be tons of big marquee stuff like that from us. The other thing that came to mind when you asked me that question is this thing, Chicken Attack, that I mentioned, which was the outgrowth of a travel show that we did a couple of years ago. We called the show Song Voyage, where we went to.
Right now.
We did. Thank you. That's a very generous reaction to our punished title, but we went to different countries and met very odd musicians and tried to collaborate with them on the spot in creating some unusual song. And it's a cool show. Definitely go check it out. But there was one out of the 6 episodes we made, one of them popped off and became a big hit, and that's the one from Japan, where the song that came out of that episode, each episode generated a song, right? And that episode generated this song, Chicken Attack. And it became this massive hit. I think it's a good song, yes, but I think we also lucked into, this is something we had to really like dig deep into Google Analytics to discover. That year, by accident, we released the song Chicken Attack right near the Chinese Year of the Rooster. So we really came to deeply believe that, like, yes, we had made a good song that people could connect to, but why did it really pop off? Because it was like everyone on the Pacific Rim was like, chicken power, yeah! And we're just way into it. So that made us, like about a year ago, kind of go back and say, like, we should just like try to invest more into this, both for creative fun and also to tap more into that power. So we made 2 subsequent episodes that correspond to the following chapters of the Chinese Zodiac. So released at the beginning of this year, we released 2 more episodes, Pig, for the Year of the Pig, and the Year of the Rat. And the videos are great, and the songs slap, so I really recommend checking those out on our channel. So it's called, the original one is Chicken Attack, and then we followed it with Chicken Pig Attack, where the chicken is joined by the pig, and they join forces, of course. And then, there's a little bit of a narrative to it. It's sort of an anime-ish, like good versus evil tale. So they're brought low by this kingpin, and then in the 3rd installment, Rat Attack, it's, you could call it the Rise of Skywalker episode of the trilogy. Anyway, I'm really proud of how those came out. The music's great, they look fun, and the fans love it. So if anybody is listening that is unfamiliar with those, go check them out.
That's amazing. So with all the people you've referenced, like for news articles and whatever videos you found, have you ever heard back of any of these people involved in your clips, even if they're just like, what the hell, man? Yeah. Not with like overwhelming frequency, because different politicians have a different approach to like what it means to like have dignity in the public square, basically. Some people we're certain have seen it, but need to ignore it publicly because it's not their image, right? Now, more politicians are becoming comfortable with having discourse on social media that helps them connect with fans. But there was one a couple of years ago where Rand Paul, who's a fairly prominent conservative senator, and we had like just softly poked fun at him in one of our videos without being too harsh on him. And I think if we had, really raked him over the coals, he probably wouldn't have
shared it, but I'll describe the moment for you, and then you can go watch it. But basically, as we always do, we made a song out of this long speech he had on the legislature floor, where he's complaining about our country's use of drones in warfare, and as he's wont to do, he has a great point and then always undermines himself by getting a little paranoid and loony about it. So we put all of that into one chorus that was really amusing to us. But also, when he was doing this, what we call filibuster in the States, which is like a drawn out speech intended to like get in the way of debate, basically, or get in the way of a vote, you're not allowed to leave the floor, or you lose your place in line to speak, basically. So he had to keep going while he's filibustering. So he had his like aides, his junior assistants and pages, bring him like chocolate bars so he could like eat while he's like still talking without leaving the podium. Yeah. So of course, when we saw that, like it's not a potent part of the song because he's just eating chocolate. But so what we did was we sort of created this fictional scene around it, where we created these fictional characters all like gaveling the dais, saying like, "Hey, let's all take a break for chocolate." Chocolate break. And then we cut to all these fictional people that are all like wolfing down chocolate, and then we cut to the real shot of him like wolfing down chocolate, and it seems like it's this like congressional custom of everyone picking out a chocolate bars. And so that's just good-natured fun. So we got a really solid set of retweets from Rand Paul about like, anybody want a chocolate break? And that's just one of my favorite examples. There are some other examples of people reaching out and saying they've heard of this, and we heard from Joe Biden's assistant that they showed videos to Joe Biden and all that stuff. But in one sense, it's like I think we're fulfilling a dream on the part of many politicians who you could have all the success you want as a politician, but you still want to be a pop star. You could have all the success you want as a pop star, you still want to be president.
That's amazing. So while I was doing my research for this episode, it was amazing to me to see that you were asked to make videos for the Academy Awards ceremony in 2011. So it must have been very surreal seeing James Franco introduce something that you've worked on, and even harder seeing like stars and everyone laughing at your work. How did that come about?
Yeah, that was an amazing chapter for us. It's one of those things that like, for us, we were just applying our craft, which we were doing all the time, to this different type of media and trying to deliver to their standards. But it was so unusual to the Academy and the group of people gathered at the Oscars that just really surprised them and cracked them up. And we ended up being nominated for an Emmy for that segment. I think wow. It's like hardly Emmy worthy in my mind in terms of like the amount of, it's hardly, but to them, it's just so surprising, unusual. It's like, wow, what innovation. This is the best TV segment we're going to nominate this for an Emmy. Meanwhile, we're like, you could see this anytime on YouTube. Like, come on over to YouTube. We're doing this every week. But to answer your question about how did it come about, that was the following year after the Double Rainbow song and the Bed Intruder song had played out. And those were things that broke broadly and broke out of just the YouTube bubble into traditional media via the Billboard Hot 100 and iTunes and all that stuff. So more people were aware of us and this like small art form we were pioneering. And, at the glacial pace at which Hollywood works, it's like, so whatever, 6-8 months later, they're reaching out to us because they're packaging and figuring out what does the Oscars broadcast look like. And they're like, okay, we need some ideas for musical segments. What should we do? Oh, what about those guys with the YouTube video? Yeah, call them. And that's basically how it played out. The producers are calling us and like, can you make a song? But I'll just share with you guys a little behind the scenes that, especially now that it's years later and the statute of limitations on my non-disclosure agreement have certainly expired, is that what played out on TV is something very similar to like one of our YouTube videos, which is we labeled it like, what if this year's movies were musicals? We called it like this year's unintentional musicals, and we took like 5 famous movies, Harry Potter and Toy Story 3 or King's Speech was up for Best Picture and that sort of stuff, and did them all in different genres of music as if they were all musicals. And it's very funny, and the audience loved it, right? But it was completely standalone, the same way we would deliver a digital piece just direct to YouTube. But that's not how it was conceived, because the producers wanted it to be big and splashy and incorporate their young and dynamic hosts, who, of course, you may recall, ended up being like widely panned. So they didn't get along, didn't have chemistry, and the Oscars were trying to pander to the youth audience or whatever. So the original concept was, we're going to write a song for them that included snippets of the movies, and they were going to Anna and James were going to sing lines, and it would be like call and response with bits from the movies, and this very complicated piece of choreography. And so we prototyped all. I mean, we sunk tons of time into this. Of course you would. It's the Oscars calling. You do whatever you want. You'd bend over backwards, and we did. So somewhere out there is a video of me and my wife Sarah like prototyping this. We wrote this whole song, and it was like, okay, well, James has to sing this, and then Anne has to sing this, and then, you know, up on a screen, Woody from Toy Story is going to answer them with a line from his movie, and then, you know, Jacob from Twilight is going to be up here singing his line or whatever. And so how would James and Ann ever learn this? So we had to make a demo video. So there's a video of me out there like holding up with like a name tag that says James, and me like singing, okay, so then you come out, and he's like, da, 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 da. And I'm singing a demo, and then my wife comes in, she's wearing a sign that says Ann, and she comes in and she's singing. So that video is floating out there somewhere in some producer's inbox, and I think they tried it, and were like, they had the first round of rehearsals, and literally just like, this will never work. This is too complicated. And like, Anne Hathaway is like highly trained musical theater person and definitely has the chops to like learn this, and James Franco has tons of chops maybe in a different area, and this is like not his wheelhouse. So it was canned, and you know, what ended up happening was like, basically we made a high production value YouTube video.
It is absolutely brilliant. I watched it before, not long before I came onto this, because I showed my wife's a massive Harry Potter fan, so I was showing her the Harry Potter bit. That's just a little ball of light. It's absolutely so funny. So obviously you're mostly known for the Schmoyoho YouTube channel, where all these videos are found, but it's not another fact. You're genuinely trained musicians. You know, we've tons of releases. If you go onto Spotify and look at your releases, it feels like you're scrolling for about 6 years. Were you guys nervous before releasing your own music after blowing up with these initial videos? Because obviously they're very different beasts.
Yeah, a little bit, just because your reputation as an artist becomes centered around whatever the most important thing is, that, you know, whatever the most prominent thing is that people know you for. So it's not that we feel shy about the artistic value of other stuff that we have worked on. But even in the sense of like, oh, if you're a YouTuber that just does vlogs, or you say like you're just into like home decor, and then you go off and want to try a totally new video about like, well, now I'm doing you know, science education or something like that, and people just won't watch it. They might not be mad at you, but that's not why they arrive at your channel. That's not what you're watching for. So that's our only nervousness about it, is your audience have certain expectations that then you don't deliver on. And so, not that they resent you for it, but they will just ignore it. There's a million different things that people can listen to and watch out there. And so your reputation and your expectations really matter when your audience is making decisions about how to spend their content consuming time, so to speak. But we have done plenty of original music over the years, and in different forms and guises. Some stuff is out there as the Gregory Brothers. We have a Christmas album we did last year that is like very conventional Christmas album with traditional songs, but with a couple of comedic tweaks on it that I like highly recommend for your holiday listening. But it's totally different than what we're doing in the realm of songification and transforming the world of viral videos in song.
So have you ever been asked to like tour with the songification stuff?
Yeah, we've done it actually. We don't do it frequently because it's so unusual and specific.
Yeah.
And most people that even know our videos, the millions of people that follow us, don't necessarily expect that it's a live act. You know, like nothing about our videos suggests that you would see somebody ever perform this.
Yeah.
So we really have only ever done it in like festival contexts where like people are there as a built-in audience for VidCon or AnimeCon or Bonnaroo or whatever it was that we have been over the years. But we've gotten a version of it that works pretty well, where we basically went back to some of our favorite videos, either our biggest hits or, to us, like the most singable choruses. And then we'll just strip out certain musical elements. We take out the bass, we take out the guitar, and mix down the vocals or whatever, and then we get on stage and play those parts, the bass and the guitar, the drums, in sync with the video while it's projected over our heads, so that we can sing along with all the unintentional singers, but with all the energy and emotion of a rock band, and just like, and throw down, oh my damn, Turtle Fence, Double Rainbow, Bed and True, whatever it is, winning, and all that stuff on stage with all of the energy and thunder that like a 7-piece band can bring, plus the video elements. And so it can be a really cathartic show. Like all of our fans that only ever interact with our videos and just like by themselves on their phone or watching their laptop, all of a sudden they can like live that fandom out, just like shouting along, screaming along. It's super fun.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Could you imagine like bringing on guest singers like, welcome to the stage, I love cats, I really love cats.
Yeah, we have done it a couple of times. We Dam from Oh My Damn, we've rendezvoused with him a couple times. He's been on stage like shouting out and rapping with us.
Amazing.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
But the best one of all is Yosemite Bear from the Double Rainbow song. Now you guys may know this, that he passed away earlier this year.
Yeah.
About 10 years afterwards. But we were really fortunate to call him a friend. We met him about a year after that video came out while we were on tour. A tour had taken us out to California, and he's from Yosemite area. We met up with him and brought him on stage, and ended up basically staying in touch, and we would meet up with him every year at VidCon and bring him out. And the spirit at that convention is so video oriented that he was revered as a deity basically. And to have him on stage, just like re-experiencing all the really genuine emotion and spirituality that he does, was like really, really powerful. And it made people just scream and cry and sing along. And it was really amazing. He was just a wonderful, wonderful, unique guy that meant everything so sincerely. People have a tough time understanding that video as anything other than like, how could a person experience this if they're not high, basically? And he told us he came on the tour bus to hang out with us for a while. And I'll tell you why I eventually became convinced he was telling the truth when he said I wasn't high when I filmed the Double Rainbow video. Everyone's like, no, yeah, he's lying. But that's what like the internet people would say, right? But I believe him, and the reason I totally believe him is because of the number of times he talked about being high elsewhere. He had no qualms talking about being high and documenting when it did or didn't happen. But he also was just like so deeply into the like communing with earth style of hippie spirituality that like the power of witnessing this natural phenomenon really was so vivid to him.
So when we were talking about like your original music, the one of the albums I absolutely love is Happy Sad Songs. It's such a brilliant concept and it sounds great. I'll never forget hearing a really upbeat version of Gary Jules' Mad World and wondering what was going on in my own ears. I was like, why is this so good? What is going on? Where did the idea for this album come from? Because it's brilliant.
Oh man, thanks. I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, we took on that project just sort of like as a side thing that was funny to us. and we would do it on and off in between doing songification. So, the premise of the thing is not like our other videos where we are auto-tuning and creating a song out of found footage, but instead it's us performing a known pop song, either a hit from the past or something currently on the charts. And it started out just as like a music theory exercise. Take something that's in a major key and what does it sound like if you play it in a minor key? Just changing a few of those notes from just from major to minor, and vice versa. So you have some songs that are like written in a minor key that you can change to major, and people inherently think of those different qualities, minor or major, as being associated with vaguely dark emotions or bright emotions. So then the next step for us was like, okay, having done the music theory exercise of like what are the notes you need to change to change the mode of the song, then we were like, well, what if it wasn't just a music theory exercise? What if we were like really getting on board with this idea that the modal transition, mode being either major or minor, that the modal transition has utterly transformed the emotion of the song. So what else can we do to support that transition? So then for us, it was a genre game. So for Mad World, we were like, we'll take this incredibly dark, introspective song. We're going to change it to a major key, but we're also changing the genre to sound like a 90s Lisa Loeb track or whatever, to like really embody this like can-do spirit. And then we got a couple of years into it. We got really further afield. Uptown Funk is like, really upbeat, slapping backbeat songs. So we're like, okay, if we turn this dark, what genre could we go to? It would have been much simpler to just be like, well, this is still a pop track, but in the minor key. But instead, we decided to strip it down to like a Benedictine monk chant, and so each time we did it, like it just got weirder and weirder, where we were like, didn't feel like redoing too many genres. Even though we were more likely to have a hit when we kept it simple, but it was just funnier to us the weirder we got. So, that song, you can't shut up and dance with me.
Yes.
This woman is my destiny. We did it to a minor key instead of this woman. It'd be like, this woman is my destiny. You can hear how like it was minor. You can hear how it was minor. So we're like, well, that melody feels like something that's a little more twisted. It doesn't feel like a pop song anymore. It's a little more twisted, a little more jazzy. We decided to call it tango, so we turned it into a tango, and then it would be like, ooh, shut up and dance with me. Yep. And I was like, that, like, no one goes out to listen to tango. Like, this is never going to be a hit. You could really, we'd have a better chance of making a hit if we were just like, let's just try to make it a top 40 slapper that happens to be in a minor key. But we were so committed to this like genre tweak. Anyway, it is what it is. I think it sounds amazing and really funny, the way it came out.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I definitely recommend anyone to go listen to it. No, as you're talking, then I just remember, this isn't in my notes. Didn't you have an app out for songification where people could talk into an app and it turn into a song?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought you did. Yeah.
Yeah, that really was a thing. And I mean, you're bringing up some painful points here. This is going to turn into a therapy session.
My bad.
No, I'm just kidding. Just to the extent that the app is not does not exist on the App Store right now. But so we put it out in 2011. Is that right? And I was just a big hit. I mean, millions of downloads, but it was a free app, of course. A big contributor to being able to get millions of downloads. But, it was what it sounds like, but very, very simple. You would hold down a button while you record yourself talking. And most people would just do stuff like hanging out with their buddies. Mike is a dummy. He forgot to do the dishes. And then we just grab that audio, set it to like an existing track that we had already supplied, and then it would sort of like tune up your voice in the appropriate key and cycle it. And it sounded okay. People got a huge kick out of it. So it was really popular there for, well, it's definitely right when it was released, but it maintained some popularity for a couple of years there. But it costs money to maintain the app as like iOS, especially iOS is where it mostly existed, Android to a certain extent. But as the operating systems upgrade, your apps have to upgrade too, or they break on people's phones. And, it's a free app, so it made a little bit of money, but not kabillions of dollars to like staff development crew to then update it every time the OS. So that's the like short, dumb, technical reason that the app no longer exists. Some people, if you still have like an iPhone 3 or something, it probably still works on your phone. But yes, you're right that it did exist. It's a painful point to us that like we couldn't maintain it basically, and maybe we'll figure out a way to make it work again in the future.
I mean, iOS updates every fucking, 3 weeks?
Yeah, give me a break.
Every time.
And people don't talk about the cost. People don't talk about the unintended consequences. Nobody's talking about this.
So obviously you've said with political season coming up, you'll be doing a lot of, but other than that, what's next for the Gregory Brothers?
Yeah, other than the thing that's coming up next, what's next for you?
All right.
Oh man, I don't know. We're really focused on the next couple of months as like a time when we want to, really deliver and produce. But our studio is growing a little bit. We're trying to do more. One way that we've grown over the last couple of years is like connecting with other YouTubers and producing songs for them and their audiences. Our audience knows and loves us and knows our stuff, but what we do and our little craft is not new to our own audience. But we've started producing songs for other YouTubers, and we don't always get it right, but when we get it right, it can be both a big hit and also really satisfying anthem for somebody else's fan base. Like, people love a YouTuber for who they are and their personality. And if there's an anthem, a song that captures who they are, their fans just love it. So when we've gotten it right, we've had some really big hits doing that last couple of years.
Muffin song.
There's a guy from the UK named Jacksepticeye who's a huge gaming YouTuber, and we've produced several songs for him. And the biggest hit is called All the Way, and his fans are crazy about it. But the other biggest one is for another British YouTuber named Tom Scott, Tom Ridgewell, who's been around. He's been around for ages, and he's this really funny guy known for his cartoons. And we made a video for him that is called The Muffin Song. And it was a hit in its own right on his channel, but then just the cosmic dice came up, Snake Eyes, and it became a TikTok meme. And so through no fault of our own or any particular strategy, it became this massive hit because of TikTok. So that's something that we really want to grow. We want to find new audience members. We want to deliver cool art to other YouTubers. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. You can watch for that, but we're going to be deep into the U.S. political scene for now, for sure. Beyond that, we hope the pandemic is really putting a kibosh on this. So please don't hold me to this if we can't deliver. But I'm praying to all the deities we can deliver it, that the next episodes in the Chinese Zodiac Attack series will arrive at the beginning of the next year. We need to deliver an ox chapter, the year of the ox, and then I think we owe the year of the dog. But anyway, look forward to that.
Amazing. But Tom, did you have any more questions?
I just wanted to say that I love the different genres and styles that you use in all your songs. Like, they're not all the same, do you know what I mean? So it's like R&B or rock or hip hop or pop or grime or that sort of thing. I love the differentiation. I also found myself strutting to Hairy Legs earlier.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why, it's just the vibe of it. And I was just proper like just going, yes, just went on the street, motherfuckers. I love it.
Yes. Yes, that is the vibe. It's very much a strutting vibe. And who can't identify with having hairy legs? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's universal. It's universal. Well, I'm well complimented that you would say that. That's something that we strive to do, is try all these different genres and do our best to hit all the notes. And different genres work for different reasons, and so you have to discover why they work and try to replicate them. So I'm glad you said that. What are your favorites other than hairy legs?
Dead Giveaway, I absolutely love. Oh My Damn, obviously.
That's a staple of our friendship.
Well, yeah, a lot of the ramp I've just been listening to the past couple of days, I absolutely love that as well. And All the Way with, is it Jacksepticeye, you say his name?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you found that one. Cool.
So Spotify just delivers the whole entire, I've got to get through so many. But I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
The Luke Skywalker Toshi Station one always gets me. I absolutely love that one.
Oh, that's rad. Oh, thanks.
And as I said, the cat lady is just absolutely wonderful. The amount of times I walk around singing that is unreal. Well, I have a hatred for my own cat, so whenever I sing that, the wife's just like, "No, you don't. You fucking hate it." And the Muffin song, like we already mentioned, my son loves that song. He plays it all the time. So,
oh, it's amazing. And well, apologies to you, of course, but I'm glad he likes it.
Right, before we get out of here, please plug any social media, but anything you want people to check out and potentially follow you on.
Yeah, well, YouTube is our main thing, so that's where all of our biggest productions go. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. But we do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on Instagram. We interact with a lot of people and show a lot of funny stuff on Instagram. We have a really, if people are already fans of our work and found this episode because they already recognize us, I'd say consider supporting us on Patreon. One of the best things about our Patreon supporters is that they've all gathered together in this Discord where we've over time just grown to use them as a sounding board. And so if you really like our work or have an interest in it, that's a great place to gather. We end up in the Discord all the time, bouncing ideas around off of these, like our most crucial fans, about like stuff we're working on, stuff that's upcoming, behind the scenes things, videos that are in process. It's been a really cool innovation with how we get suggestions and also try things out.
That's amazing. Beautiful, wonderful. Evan, thank you so much for doing this, Matt. I really appreciate you taking some time out before your busy season.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. This was super fun. I appreciate you guys.
I'm so pleased. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best for the rest of this year.
Yeah.
Thank you and cheers.
Goodbye, my friend.
Take care, man. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Find all this great content and more at the USUK Podcast Network.